Good morning, everybody. I am Fire Lotus with your weekly, daily Witches Live morning chat. I do these Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. They last anywhere from 30 minutes, an hour, to 2 hours, to 3 hours. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me this morning. Let me go ahead and get everything that I normally say, and then I'll get to the point that I'm actually making this specific one. We will be breaking down the Halloween Oracle deck. Good morning. We're actually almost done with this. After this one, I think we have 2 more to go, and then we'll be done. So we will actually, I believe, finish this on Friday. But, with that, I say this in all my videos. Whoop, I forgot. We damn sure gonna need this one today. For anyone who doesn't know, this is sage spray, room spray. It was charged under the full moon, and it is good vibrational spray. It is created by a dear friend of mine, 3 Sleepy Eyes Apothecary. You should totally check her out. She has way more than this, just than this. She has herbs, she has teas, she has soaps, she has beard stuff, so much other stuff. You should totally check her out. Okay. With that, everybody, if you haven't, there is an app called Astro Matrix. It is free. It's in both app stores, Google and or Apple. Basically what it does, it creates your own personalized horoscope. I did find out something interesting about that, though. If you do download the app, go into your settings and hit GPS. The reason I'm asking you to do this is if you do that, then when it pulls up the moon, the times, and the phases, they will be more accurate to the exact point, or to exactly where you are. That I didn't know. I personally fixed that when I found out about it. But, yeah, it's completely free. They do have a subscription one to where you can buy a subscription to it. But if not, it's free. I've been using it for about a year now. I think almost a year and a few months. It's amazing. You get hourly updates of the planets and the shifts, and then, like I said, it's personalized because it uses your birth chart and or natal chart. That's basically a screenshot of the exact moment you came into this world. Okay. One last thing, I will be updating the tarot card, the 30-day tarot challenge that I've been doing from my Pinterest. I will be updating that one. Yesterday's live, I did not get to fully upload it to YouTube last night, but it is on, I do have it downloaded from Facebook, so later on today, on top of this one, both of them will be up on my YouTube page. Whatever the tarot thing. Oh! If y'all still want me to, after this, which I gotta do another post or another pull, if you want me, after we finish this Halloween Oracle deck, if you actually do want me to break down the Green Witch Tarot cards that I have right here, and all the other stuff that I have, basically breaking down the entire tarot, let me know, because if so, I will actually start that in the first live that I do in January, due to the simple fact of how many cards there are. That's going to be a dedication, so I do need to know that. If not, then Monday when I go live, we will break down the Native American Medicine Wheel Meditational Oracle deck. That's a mouthful. Okay. Got all that. For one, happy full moon, first day of the full moon. Tomorrow it's 99% full, but today is the first. So, happy first moon of the happy full moon of the last full moon of the decade. There we go. Okay. Now, the real reason. I actually woke up this morning and I was actually thinking about taking a little day off, until some stuff. So, to anyone who does practice, to anyone who actually does practice, that has been practicing any type of magical path, spiritual path, anything, and what all I'm about to say, it can go in so many other aspects of your lives, but if you call yourself a witch, if you call yourself a practitioner of any way, I've seen this numerous times. I've seen this in different covens, I've seen this in groups, I've seen this so many other times, and it is the one thing that I will speak up on and call out. Okay. I understand that when you are, for one, first things first, your words are power. What I mean by that is, if you are talking bad about somebody to another person, if you are telling that person that everything that's coming out of this person's mouth is bad, it's wrong, you yourself directly, and it may be indirectly, you're technically still throwing shade, throwing negative energy towards that person. Especially if that person is a practitioner or anything like that. Now, I myself have came on here and stated that there are some snakes that do have a very good public eye, that they may not be what they're presenting themselves as to the public, and that's fine. That's not what I'm talking about. If you are in a coven, or at any point in time you have had a teacher, a person that literally will dedicate time out of their lives to help you in your craft, no matter if you have a falling out with this person, no matter if y'all have the world's biggest fight and you just don't want to fucking talk to this person ever again, that's perfectly fine. But do not, under any circumstances, because I personally believe it is one of the most dogma / like worst things that you could possibly do, which is undermine a person that taught you, okay? Or undermine somebody else that is teaching. Technically, what a lot of people, there's an actual term for this, which it falls under the lines of a witch war. Basically, what a witch war is, it kind of started online, of course, but it's basically where you get a group of witches or a group of spiritual practitioners together, and somebody voices their opinion, and somebody else in the group completely disagrees with that, and it's almost like a political bait. It goes from a disagreement to a full-on war, full-on fight. First of all, with these particular videos or any of the content that I put out, I have stated so many other times that, all of this that flows from me is just my ideas. If you don't agree with it, then don't view my lives, okay? If you do agree with it, then thank you so much. But if not, that's fine. But I do not want, and I hate when it gets back to me, that somebody in some way, shape, or form has been directing energy towards me, not necessarily in an ill tint or like an ill manner, but at the same time, you're discouraging people that do know me and do know my craft. You're going back and stating stuff that's not true. That infuriates me so much, because I'm at that point in my life, personal or non-personal, if you don't like me, if you don't like what I put out there, if you don't like anything about me, then remove yourself from any of my social media platforms. Stop following me. Don't be a spy. And it drives me crazy that I understand in the pagan or spiritual world that there are so much stuff, there are so many opinions, there's so much knowledge out there, and that's great. And you can disagree. You can completely disagree with people. That's completely fine. But you need to realize your words have power. They have actions. And I myself, I don't like fucking with other people magically. I can, but I personally don't, because for the past year, I've kind of been staying to myself, staying low. I'm not sipping any tea. I'm not really spilling any tea drama-wise. So, and for the past 3 months, I myself, and I've talked to a couple of other people, I knew something was going on behind the scenes. And I still don't know exactly what it was and everything like that. But always know that I know if something or somebody or anything like that is going on about me, okay? I may not know exactly what it is, but I'll sense it. And I have been sensing that there has been something going on behind the scenes. And that's fine. But last thing I'm saying about this, keep my name out of your mouth. And if you see this, then you know exactly who I'm talking about. And if the person doesn't see this, then just a friendly reminder and a great lesson to keep. Don't put down another witch because you have a disagreement with them or you don't necessarily agree with what they're saying or how they're teaching or anything like that. That's fine. There's a reason we have free will. It's called butt the hell out. And it drives me crazy because being a witch, especially through all the shit that has happened throughout history, you would think in this type of world, especially nowadays that the world is so much shit, that pagans, magical people of all people, would understand how you're not supposed to cut somebody down. You're not supposed to talk bad about somebody just because you don't agree with what they're saying. And of course, I understand because I am in a public eye that I will have haters. That doesn't bother me because I love haters. They're fans. Because no matter what, no matter if you hate me or love me, you're still talking about me. You're still thinking about me. So in a way that gives power. That's great. But it irritates me. It irritates me to no means. Like, for one, I'm the type of person outside of these and in person. If you have something to say about me, come to my face. I'm not going to sit back and, like, argue with you. Because I'll straight up tell you, if I ever get a message. Now, before 2 years ago, hell yeah, I would have gave you everything that came to my mind. But I'm past that. I realize that I can sit here and say everything I want to say to a person, but yet, you know what? At the end of the day, it's not going to do anything. I've realized this. That's the reason that I don't like arguing with people anymore. Because it makes no obvious sense. You're literally... Two people are sitting there arguing back and forth. You already know you're not going to agree with the other person. So literally, and you're not going to change their mind. You're not going to be able to convert them. So why the hell are you both sitting there going back and forth just for no reason? Like, why have... And it's like people, not just in the witch community, everybody, they have forgotten that due to the fact of what social media and what computers and technology have done to us. That... just because you voice your opinion on anything does not mean the world is going to agree with you. And that's fine. If you don't agree, then keep your mouth shut. Which, true enough, there's going to be a bunch of people that say this and you're like, well, if you don't want people commenting on it, then don't post it on social media. True too, but at the same time, as a society that we're trying to break all of these stigmas that's saying, you know, hey, if you need help, if you're struggling with mental health or if you're struggling in life, tell us, voice it. And then you have someone doing that who goes to their social media, no matter what platform that is, and voices that they need help, voice that, you know, they're having a hard struggle, and you get a majority that actually helps them, and then you get a bigger majority that basically cuts them down, telling that they're just posting this shit to get attention and all this other shit. Do you know how backwards all of that I just said is? How the hell do we expect people to reach out and voice their opinion that they need help, that they're unhappy in their lives, only to when they do, they turn around and we cut them down due to the fact that we think we have so much power behind these little devices that we use on a regular basis? It is driving me insane to the point where I wish if I had never started these videos, I honestly, this year would be the year that I'd walk completely the fuck away from all social media types. Like, it drives me crazy, and, like, I'm a witch, so, like, there's an aspect of me that's like, motherfucker, you know at least 10 things right now that could put everything to a stop. But I don't want to do that because I also realize that anything, any stone that I throw back, it may and may not hit that house, that glass house, but the ripple effects from that one stone, even if it hits its target, I don't know what that ripple effect's going to do. And right now, I have things going in my life that I don't need affected by negativity. Like, I'm in a comfortable space, and I'm not trying to throw anything out there that would, you know, fuck this path that I'm going down on. But at the same time, I am not going to sit back and allow somebody to put my name down. So, I hope you do see this. And if you're one of the people that I believe that kind of watch these just to see what's going on, go back and tell everybody you want what you're seeing. I hope you do, because I will know. Trust me. I know a lot of people do not, you know, a lot of people, because of how I talk, because of how I spell, and a lot of other shit, a lot of people do not take me serious. But the people that do take me serious, all my true friends and all my followers and everything like that, thank you so much, because y'all actually know that just because you see something on the surface is not how it truly is. Yes, what you do comes back tenfold, threefold. How, honestly, I'm with you. I totally believe the whole threefold thing. No, I believe it's tenfold. Completely tenfold. I believe that. And like I've stated, I do know how to curse. I know how to do very easily. There are so many gossip spells, it's not even funny. But I don't want to do that. Just because I can, I don't want to. But at the same time, I will defend what I'm creating here. I will defend my magic. I will defend my spirituality. I will defend any other person that at some point in time I've become their teacher or anything like that. I will defend everything that stands for. If you are my friend, if you are my social media friend, if you're my online friend, I'm going to defend you. I am. But at the same time, look, I'm over here minding my own business, doing these little witches' lives, helping people. So, you know what? I'm going to keep doing that. But thank you. I will say this. If the person who I'm talking about actually sees this, thank you so much. Because, like I said, I wasn't intending to do a live this morning. I was actually just going to, take a mental health day. But you know what? Nope. Because what have I learned? When it comes to putting stuff out there, or when it comes to speaking the truth, you will get more people, the more haters, the more negative stuff you get on that. That just means at the end of the day, you were right, because it was so spot on the head that it pissed people off. So you know what? I'm going to keep doing these, and I'm going to keep doing them, and keep doing them. Fuck the haters. You know? Because at the end of the day, you can hate, but you're still going to talk. Therefore, my name still has power to it. So, with that being said, I'm so glad I actually got that off my chest. I feel so much better now. I don't know what this live is going to be about besides that. Oi. Whew. Okay. Sorry about that, y'all. So, full moon. I will say, I'll talk about the full moon a little bit, because it does kind of go with what the card that I'm about to reveal. For the new moon, or full moon, I don't know why I keep saying new moon. For the full moon, the people that want to charge crystals and stuff like that, I have a way that I do it. Not all crystals can do like this, so the crystals that you have at your house, check to see if they can be submerged in water for an extended amount of time without becoming toxic or breaking down. But I'm going to use this box that I have right here, because it also has some stones in it. But what I do is, since I have so many types of different stuff, I either get a jar and all the stones that I want to charge. Now, for one, most crucially, you do not have to put your stones directly in moonlight. You can keep them inside. Just, try to connect those with that. So, if you're in a situation, or if, there's cloud, currently right now, we may get rain here, so, tonight, I may not even get to see the full moon, but, or the 99% full moon, but, yeah, you don't have to, but, a trick, and I love doing this because you're actually creating two charged things. Not only are you going to charge your crystals, but basically you get a mason jar, or like this, a clear box, and put all the crystals in there. And if you're going to do it in a jar, try to get some spring water or some water and pour it in there with the crystals, seal it. So not only are you getting charged moon water, but technically you're getting charged crystal moon water. See what I'm saying? And if you don't want to do that, then get a little glass box or a little box like this, and it's see-through. So therefore, you could technically put all of your crystals in here, and I've done this multiple times with this box, due to the fact that it's completely see-through. Basically, when that moonlight hits one crystal, it'll illuminate all the other ones, so therefore, literally, you'll have an entire box full of crystals. Just the thing. And the reason I state that is because I myself used to be that person where I would literally go outside and have a individual spot for every single stone, crystal, mineral, whatever I have. And I would stress out so much because if you're like me, I suffer from depression and bipolar and anxiety. So, like, some days I'm there and then other days I'm not. So, like, on those days where you just don't have that full energy, remember, because I know for me and my spirituality, my depression and bipolar can affect it, because sometimes I'll feel like I'm not doing enough, or I'll get it in my head that, like, this has to be done, and if not, you'll lose the connection to everything. It doesn't work that way. Like, the ancestors, the gods, the goddesses, the energies above, they understand that we are humans. They understand that due to that, and just by a natural flaw with that, we're imperfectly imperfect humans. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for that. Actually, thank y'all all. For all the people that, like, tune in every morning when I do these. Thank you so much. And even if you miss it because of life, you're still giving me feedback. Thank y'all so much. Honestly, y'all are one of the reasons that I keep pushing through this, because what's kept me from doing this throughout my entire life was I never thought I was ready. And then once I started doing my first couple of videos and the feedback that I was getting, I was like, okay, so I am ready for this. But, other tricks with the moon, like I said, there are 3 nights of a full moon. And the reason I keep saying that is because now I may get waning and waxing slightly mixed up what I'm about to say. But tonight, which is the 11th, the moon is 99% illuminated. Tomorrow, the 12th, or at some point in the early mornings, you will have, the moon will shift into 100% illuminated. And then the following day, the 13th, Friday the 13th to be exact, it's technically, it will be 99% waning or waxing. I think it's waning. But basically, there are 3 nights of a full moon. So with that being said, you can use all 3 nights for a spell, or you can just use, say if you actually missed the 12th, you still have the 13th. Now, the 13th, a lot of people are not talking about that, but you have to think, that's actually going to be a magical day, too. Not talking about the superstition and the bad luck shit, but that's also going to be Friday the 13th, the last Friday the 13th of the decade. So think about that. This month, there is a reason this month and the magic that you do or the things that you create are going to be extremely strong. Okay? Not to mention we're having the last full moon of the decade on December the 12th. The 12th month, the 12th date, and apparently the moon actually will be 100% full at 12:12 a.m. So that's 12, 12, 12, 12, 12 right there. That in itself is huge manifestation powers right there. On top of it being the last full moon of the decade, on top of the new moon that we're having this month is also going to be the last new moon of the decade. And then I'm still trying to figure it out, but apparently the way what the full moon falls into and what the new moon falls into, it will basically complete a cycle in itself. So it will be a full circle with that. And then December the 26th, we have a solar eclipse. Now, I do not know if that's going to be visible in the United States or not, but that in itself, you can harness that energy. Because these are all going to be what? These are all going to be things, these are all going to be last astrological events that have happened in this decade. On top of all the other shit that's happened. And in the past 3-4 years, we've had a lot of astrological, we've had more eclipses and all this other stuff. And then, on top of all of this going on, we're also going to start a leap year. And I've already talked about this in a live, but I actually realized one of the main reasons we have a leap year is because everybody knows the leap year is basically a year where instead of 365 days, we actually have 366 days. Does anyone know the reason that actually started? One of the reasons, not the, but one of the reasons that is actually what it does is, a leap year is not just 1 year. It is 1 year, but it's actually a 4-year cycle. So it lasts for 4 years. And what that does is, when this happens, at the end of that 4 years, so technically 2024, I believe. 2024. At the very end of that, our lunar calendar and our solar calendar will actually be synced up. That's one of the reasons we have the leap year, is because it actually helps sync up our lunar calendar from our solar calendar. But the reason that this blew my mind was because, for one, I'd never known that. For two, I also did not know a leap year lasted technically 4 years. But due to this, you could theoretically create a spell that takes 4 years. So you could begin it at the beginning of this New Year's and then end it at the end of 4 years. And think about that. Think about if you made a wish box. I have to watch how I do this because there are crystals on top of it currently. But the wish box that I was talking about, the wish bundle, very easy to make. Make one of those. And in the next 4 years, put every single thing that you want to manifest in your life. Now, with these wish boxes, literally, you can put anything in it. Literally, if you want a house, find a small little... Actually, the ornaments, due to the fact that it's Yule and Christmas, you'll be able to find a lot of this stuff cheap, for $1, right? All you have to do is put it in the box and just leave it. And the box itself, you're charging the box, so it's creating its own little thing. It's almost like a honey jar, but it's a wish bundle. So you put everything in it that you want, and basically as you're adding stuff, you know, charging it, whenever you get a feeling you need to charge it. And when you do charge it, do not open it. Literally just, you know, place it somewhere to where it can get some of that full moon or new moon's energy. But, and speaking of that, I did want to say, this gorgeous gold box, right? Dollar Tree. They have it now, actually, for Christmas. Whoop. Dollar Tree. $4. And literally all I did was, on the inside of this, I actually have stuff in it, so I can't, like, open it. But, all I did was, I went to Dollar General. I got a bottle of their gold paint that they have in the craft section for $1. By the way, people, that is some of the best gold paint I've seen. But I painted the inside of this gold too, and it's like the metallic gold, so if you open the box up and light hits it, the entire box glows gold. But you put all of the stuff that you want to manifest in. This can be, it can be if you see something in a newspaper or a magazine, cut it out. Put it in there. Like I said, these can be actual objects like this, shells for like protection or home or anything like that, and you just keep it in there and it'll eventually manifest. And of course, when things do manifest, you can take that object out if you want, or just leave it in there. And like I said, this leap year, you're about to have a 4-year window to where you can use that 4-year and everything that's going in with that to boost it. Yes, exactly. And then it's also with that, with the bay leaves. You can also just put a bay leaf for the people who carry wallets and or purses or anything like that. Or if you have like a little change bag or a change jar, put bay leaves on it and then carry bay leaves with you. That helps bring in prosperity. But yes, exactly like that. Like etching a design onto a bay leaf and keeping it in a box and taking it out when you're ready to cook. Exactly. And see, that's stuff that I'm trying to get out there that a lot of sprouts, a lot of people that's coming into this, they don't know. I'm in a group, I'm not going to state the group here on Facebook, and it is specifically for, like, newer people. And it's so funny because, like, I see myself in a lot of what I'm about to say, because I used to be that person. But, you know, when you first start this journey, like, you're so excited because any obstacle that comes into your life, you're like, I can find a spell for that. Let's find it. Eventually, you will move out of that to where, yes, there probably is a spell for everything you can do, but you're just going to tire yourself out if you throw a spell or use energy for every little bump that goes in the thing. But the reason I love these videos is because I found out that not only spells, you can carry a crystal with you to help combat something that you could have used the spell for. And you're not also... Oh, yep, a sprinkle of cinnamon, too. Yes, cinnamon is really, really good. For money. Money and love. Also, with that catnip, believe it or not, catnip is excellent for love. And also, it can be excellent for prosperity and money. And that technically falls under the lines of hoodoo, but still. Actually, believe it or not, a lot of the herbs that you can get at Dollar General and or some at Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree is where I get the powdered sage. That if you want to burn sage, you don't want to go out and get a bundle, and or you don't want to use a charcoal little pad. Powdered sage, that stuff, if you have a lighter, if you can get a good flame on it for a second, once that stuff actually lights, you can leave it there and it will spread and burn on itself. And it's a slow burn. So, but, there are so many things that you can do that what I think it is a lot of the times, I know with me, it's like I sometimes overcomplicate what I'm trying to think of or what I'm trying to do. And that's also how my brain works, which is why I love when people during my lives, I love when I actually do have an audience to, like, people to bounce stuff off my head because it keeps my juices flowing. But you know how many times, like, I've been so frustrated that I'm like, I can't find what I need. I can't figure out, like, I can't formulate everything together perfectly. And then my partner will look at me sometimes and he goes, you do realize you have like 40 books in your room, right? And that's when it dawns on me. Oh, wait, I do. Plus, we have the internet for that too. But, also with that, there is something that I do want to see. And if y'all come across any of this, please kind of throw that out there too, towards the sprouts, as I call them. I've been seeing this new thing where, it's not really a new thing, but I've been seeing this thing where, like, a lot of these newer people, like, instead of, because, like, when I first got into the craft, like, my first thing I wanted to know was how you cast a full-on circle, right? I'm seeing people now, like, they're wanting to do full-on love spells or hexes and curses as, like, and they're still freshly new to this, and I'm thinking in my head, you don't even know what that energy could do to you if you don't successfully actually send that energy out. And even if you do, what that's going to do to you. There are so many people that get it in their head that if you do a love spell, you're going to get your perfect mate. And that's true, you might. But there's a reason a lot of people actually shy away from love spells. Because it can turn, honestly, what is that movie? Oh, there's a movie that, like, it's perfect, but Fear. If you've seen the movie Fear, I think it's called Fear. Love spells can do that. Like, legit, if you see, when you're doing a love spell, especially if you're making someone attracted to you or making someone fall in love with you, doing spells to find the right person, that's different. But doing a love spell intentionally to make somebody fall in love with you or to make someone basically obsess over you, that's when it becomes dangerous, because what happens? You can easily, because see, what people do not take into account when it comes to spell work, and I don't think I've heard a lot of people say this. Yes, Obsidian too. But Obsession. Yes, that's a good one too. Yes, Obsession, exactly. Thank you for that. Perfect movie. Those two movies, Fear and Obsession, right now, right? What most people and a lot of practitioners don't really think about is if you're doing a spell on a person, especially if it is to force something on them, you also need to take into account their actual mental state. Because that's how you get psychos and that's how you get obsessions that turn into a murder case. Because if you send an infatuation spell, basically you're doing a spell to make somebody infatuated about you, basically completely obsessed about you, to where it's like on Practical Magic, where the woman at the very beginning walks in and she's doing the spell and she's like, I want him to think nothing but of me. You don't want a spell like that, because I'm telling you, especially with these people nowadays, you gonna wind up waking something up in somebody, and yeah, you gonna get that attraction as you're tied down to a bedpost in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. So think about that. If you're doing a spell on a person, think about, like, how that can play out. And see, it's very funny because one of the first spells I ever actually made was a love spell. And it's very weird because I haven't done love spells in the past to make somebody fall in love with me, but while I was single, love you too, Mom, while I was single or something like that, I have done spells to help me find that person that I was searching for. That was only when I was younger and a teenager, and I thought I knew what I wanted, and I thought all of that teenage shit. And I personally think all witches if you're practicing in your teenage years, because you know when you're a teenager you think true love or puppy love is like real love, and sometimes it could be. 9 times out of 10 though, it's not. But yeah, I've done spells like that. So through that though, and actually in one of my lives that I've done, I learned that the love spell that I created, and I did this when I was like 14 or 15, possibly 16. Some of the stuff that I actually put in there as the steps to follow, it actually has historical references with other practices that I did not know prior to me creating it. But through that, with me and how I do love spells is, I'm not going to go fully into it, but basically I won't do what most people think of a love spell. Like, I'll make it to where it's almost like a glamour on you, to where like if you want somebody to come back to you, I'll make it there are so many things that I can do with that. But when you, for anybody who does see this, before you cast a spell on somebody, especially if you're forcing something on them, think about their mental state. Especially if it comes to a binding. Dear God, if you do a binding on somebody, please take into account their mental state. Because trust me, I've learned, red-handed, do not do a binding on somebody that can be labeled as slightly unstable and or explosive. Because let me tell you, it will get explosive. And see, that's something they do not teach you in all of these. Normally, I can just like look over and just grab a book. But of course, all of my books for some reason today are like, but all these books, all the books that I've read throughout the craft, none of them have stated, oh, when you're doing magic on somebody, slightly think about their, like, how it's going to affect them mentally. And that in itself today is a very good thing that people need to take into realize and, like, take into account of, you know, if I do this spell, is it going to, like, make that person snap? Or something like that. Because, see, you could do, say you did an attraction spell. You found somebody, you had a crush on him or her, him or her, or however, non-binary, however you want to word that. You find a person attractive, right? So you do a spell to basically make them infatuated with you. What you didn't know, though, was prior to that, this particular person has some type of OCD or something like that, right? Okay, well, due to the fact that you just put spell on them and you're like, you know, so you're kind of amplifying that person's, well, ability to be obsessed, like the obsession thing. But since they already had a pre-lined factor, basically that spell just made the OCD like on steroids, and what happens, it could possibly go into a murder or something very scary like that. So that's a lot of the reasons that, like, when people like offer specifically love spells and stuff like that, I'm like, But now, at the same time, I've done multiple love spells because I don't do the whole, ooh, do this spell and you'll have person blah, but no. Sorry, yeah. Love spells do work. Just think about it, okay? Don't, like, you don't, as much as the movies romanticize it, having someone that is extremely obsessed with you to the point where they would carve their name in your skin, it's nothing you want in your life. I'm telling you now, you don't want it. It's creepy. It's scary. And yeah, you don't want it. So be very careful with how you... Now, and at the same time, if you are one of those people that specifically do hexes and curses and shit like that, do what I just said at the opposite way, basically. If you know somebody, you know, they're... See, that's where, like, I have issues with some of the stuff I myself even spit out, because I'm like, wait, do I not? Sorry, y'all, I'm like on it this morning. But I am currently drinking water. Because I think the coffee was starting to affect me a little bit too much. Okay, nothing important. But, yes, we have the new moon. I'm full, see, there we go, new moon. Apparently the new moon's going to be really good today, or really good this month. But with full moons, and also with that, they're great for manifestation stuff. But you can also, this would be a great time. Oh yeah, I believe. You can always use the full moon's power to banish stuff from your life as well. A lot of people, I don't know, in the last few years, it's kind of like normally when I see posts, if it's about the full moon, it's always about manifesting, pulling in, manifesting, pulling in, pulling in. And that's true, but at the same time, if you were going to use the moon like that, it would be best to do it on a new moon. The reason you're supposed to use a new moon, which you can also use the new moon for banishing stuff too, because if you were to use a spell for the new moon or the moon cycles, start it on the new moon, and your spell itself, as the moon's getting fuller, new moon, so that's the reason the moon cycle, you can use the moon cycle like that. Basically starting something and then full moon, full circle, ending it. It's also a great way to break cycles, break chains. With that, though, I would suggest getting crystals, vibrational crystals, or high vibrational crystals that can help with that. But at the same time, I mean, like I've stated before, you don't always have them, but depending on what you do, you will need some crystals and stuff like that to amplify and to help. Amethyst, not only is it a great sober stone, or sobriety stone, amber, if you drink, if you have, not amber, if you have amethyst on you while you drink, amethyst can prevent, basically, you getting drunk too fast. It can also help keep sobriety in your life and attract sobriety. That's something that I never knew, but I was always drawn to amethyst. Amethyst was one of my first obsession stones. My second obsession stone was lavenderite, and the current obsession are celestials or elestrials. I always say that name wrong. So yeah, but it's very cool because amethyst is also a natural amplifier. So you can use it to amplify your own abilities. With that, though, I will state, if you wear amethyst too much, or if you're around amethyst too much, you may start to get like an airy feeling, like you're kind of in the cloud, like your head's in the clouds. If you do start to feel like that, I would suggest, because with me, as much as I don't like taking this off, there are points and times where I do have to take it off, because normally, even if I'm not doing a video, all the necklaces you see, I normally wear them up until the point where I go to sleep. And some I sleep in, but I've kind of gotten away from sleeping in a lot of necklaces, because I have had a couple of points and times where, like, I woke up not being able to breathe because the necklaces got tangled up and I was laying on them. And yeah, so, note to self, watch what you sleep in, because you don't want your protective charms choking you in the middle of your sleep. It's funny too, because it was my pentagram. But yeah, there are a lot of things that a lot of people tend to, and when I mean this, and I say a lot of people, I'm including in this, we kind of overcomplicate things when they're not really complicated. And what I mean by that is some of the most potent magic I have ever done has been some of the simplest of everything. Now, that may not work for you, and it's fine, because I do know some people that they dedicate to going full on out, when in reality, I mean, it's to each their own, I guess. It depends on the person, it depends on the energy and everything, and the ethics and all of that. But yeah, with that being stated, see, I want to start doing stuff to where I can actually start planning out 1 or 2 videos where I'm actually, like, doing something while and showing you. I know I still am going to have an episode to where, I'll be making a witch's jar live and teaching you how to. And even if you don't practice, you can still create one of these and keep it on your property to protect you and your family and everything else. I've actually already done a workshop like this before with 3 of my old roommates, and it was really cool because, like, we were drinking, and, like, I'd collected, and, like, the 2 of my other roommates helped me collect everything that we needed for this, so, like, I had this small array of things that you could add depending on what type of jar you were going to create, because a witch's jar, yes, you can create it for protection. You can also create a loved one to, like, safeguard your family and your love life. so much other adaptations that you can add to witches jars. With witches jars, though, to really have it potent, and depending on how comfortable you feel with this, traditionally a witch's jar, especially if it has to do with protecting the home and the family, it does need, basically, if I were to create that, or if you have kids or something like that, there needs to be something in the jar that has the essence of you and every member that's in that house. And what I mean by that, traditionally, it's urine, menstrual blood, hair, fingernail clippings, and or saliva. Basically, that's what you can use. If you don't feel comfortable using any of that, you can use, like, get all of your family, as weird as it sounds, get all of your family members to spit in the jar. That's saliva. And it's also, especially if you have kids, depending on the ages, it would be easier to explain instead of, oh, well, I'm going to mix my menstrual blood in this, or, oh, I need to cut your hair to add to this. But you can, though, now, you can, and there are adaptations of this for witches jars for kids. Now, of course, there will be some stuff that you will not add due to the fact kids are involved, which are, if you're going to do one for protection, glass shards, nails, preferably rusty, basically anything sharp and pointy or pokey. And then the shards of mirror are basically reflecting. And basically what that jar does is, now there are some people, or there sometimes it says that, like, if you really want to go full on out, you make 4 of them and put them on all 4 corners of your property. Now, if you live in an apartment or something like that, and you can't go out and, like, dig a hole without your neighbors looking at you like you're crazy, you can either get, like, a flower pot and, like, a house plant and basically put that jar inside the pot, or you can put it somewhere inside your house just to where it needs to be, to where it's not seen. It's not going to be easily discovered, and basically you yourself will forget about it. Now, if you do these, and you do move, if you do bury your witch's jar, you do need to mark where it's at. That way, if you move off the property, you can dig it up and bring it to your old one. Not to mention, you also do not want to leave your witch's jar, if you do make one of these, or actually anything to do with magic. If it has any type of your saliva, your spit, your DNA, anything that links it to you, you don't want that lying around, because if another witch comes along or another person comes along and they actually do know negative stuff, well, they have a jar that has your entire essence in it. So be very, very careful with who you do this with, who you trust to show, and stuff like that. So yeah, like, when it comes to magic, especially if you have your essence in it, as in spit, hair, blood, urine, anything like that, be very careful. Don't just leave it lying around. And if you do bury it in your yard, I would prefer, typically do it in the middle of the night. That way, like, you know, somebody doesn't see you, because you don't want one of your neighbors seeing what you're doing, and then you go over there and then they dig it up, because I don't know. Technically, I don't know what that could do to that person who actually digs it up and then discovers it. That's like if you're walking in the woods and you come across what looks like spell remnants. Don't go poking it with a stick, because I know plenty of witches and practitioners who actually do set stuff up to where if their spell is disturbed, it's like almost like a booby trap, a magic booby trap, where there will be like a clap back. Can't believe I just used that terminology, clap back. But it's true. So, like, even if you move into a new house, now if you do move on to a new property, or if you do move into a new house and you do find something that looks like magic or a witch, you can vocalize and basically say, you know, hey, almost like you would talk to a plant, talk to whatever magic thing you found, and be like, hey, no disrespect, your owner no longer lives here or resides here. This is me, and there are multiple ways of discarding it. You could get a black cloth, wrap it up, throw some salt in there, and then bury it, and or keep it in the box, or get it off your property. There are multiple things you can do, but, you know, just be like, yo, I'm not trying to, like, you know, disturb you, but you got to go. You can't stay here anymore. So yeah, and see, that's most people don't talk about this stuff. And see, the reason, um, oh, see, I do have to research that. I've not heard from that one, and I may need that one. No, my neighbors are okay. Actually, with my neighbors, like, they know that I am a practitioner due to the fact of, I think it was last year, year before last, yeah, sometime last year, I believe. Um, yeah, it was, because it was right before I moved to Alabama. I was outside, next to my fire pit, and I didn't have any headphones, so all I had was a speaker. So I would go out there at night and sit around the fire and, like, blare some pagan music. Some of my power songs is what I call them, because I'll listen to them to, like, help raise my energy. But I had it blasting, and I didn't realize that since I'm right in front of a lake, that echoed due to the water carrying it. So I'm pretty sure everybody around me knows that I am a practitioner, but it's very cool because I've never got any weird looks. Like, our direct next door neighbors also don't really talk to us that much. But it's also kind of awkward because the property that they're living on, the person who used to live at my property, some people are going to get a shock out of this. He was actually a priest, or a retired priest, actually in what is now, right now, my magic room. I'm assuming was his room because I have a giant, I don't know what type of metal it is, but it's some pure strong metal. It is a giant cross, and that, when I mean metal, I mean when you drop it, you hear dung. So, that's kind of interesting, but there is a giant white cross in my neighbor's yard from where he had originally put it. So yeah, I don't know how they feel about that, but I guess it's that I haven't really broke that wall of going over there introducing myself, because they stay to themselves. I stay to, myself. They do like my cats, though, because all the cats that I have kind of run wild. But I had dogs at one point, or I was watching some dogs at one point, and yeah, my neighbors did not like the dogs. But the cats that we have, they don't mind them, and they're kind of everywhere. It's also very funny because I have one black and white cat. All the other cats that I have on this property are black, and they either have green eyes, yellow eyes, or orange eyes. And it's so funny because at nighttime, or in when the sun's going down, if I walk out of my yard, or if I walk in my yard, all of my cats will follow me. Like 2 weeks ago, I had to lock 2 of them in a kennel so I could go walk and check my mail, which is about 5 miles, it's about 2.5 miles down the road, full walk. There and back to about 2.5 miles. I had 2. I had to lock Magic in a kennel, or actually I put Magic in here in my magic room until I got back. Aphrodite followed me halfway, stopped at one of our neighbors' houses, kind of chilled out on the side there until I came back. And once she heard me come back, she stayed right by my side and followed me all the way back to my house. And she'll listen to me. But, like, there are moments where, like, my partner will come home from work and I'll be outside on the stairs and I'll be surrounded by black cats. And he's like, well, there's not a witch that lives here. And I'm like, no, what gave you that idea? But I love it, I try to respect my neighbors as much as I can. I'm also not used to it because the property that we used to live on, the haunted-ass property, there was 4.5 acres. So we had neighbors, but I didn't have to worry about them because they couldn't really see what I was doing. Here, on the other hand, and where my circle is, there is a lake directly in front of it. So when I practice out there, I myself have to get very comfortable with it because I feel like I'm exposed. I know I'm not, and I know that none of my neighbors would say anything or do anything or anything like that. And even if anything, I think they'd be more curious. But I don't know, it's very weird for me. So, like, and then with the whole agoraphobia thing that I've been having, yeah. But that is getting better, by the way, people. If anybody was curious, the agoraphobia is getting slightly better, or at least I'm getting a better hang of it, I'll put it that way. But, yeah. And if you do live anywhere near a lake, or if you do live on a lake or anything like that, or if you have a pool in your backyard, you can totally, like, that's where I get a lot of my moon water from, is actually the moon. I mean, the lake. Is because the way our property is, and the way the moon is, right now in this stage, it does slightly change a little bit, but right now, the way that it is, at 9 o'clock, around 9 o'clock, the moon starts to rise above the tree line. Anywhere from 10, depending on the time of the year, but at 10 o'clock, anywhere from 10 o'clock until basically the sun comes up, the moon goes directly over the lake, and it lights it all up. But also you have to think, when that does that, or if it's a large body of water, and the moon is shining over it, theoretically that means that entire lake is charged with the moon's energy, or pool is charged with the moon's energy. And trust me, once it gets a little bit warm, or once we move into spring and summertime, I have not yet to do it due to the fact that there have been gators spotted once or twice in our lake. But I do, and there will be at one point in time, there will be a ritual that I will do actually in the lake in the middle of the night. That's probably not smart, and I probably will find a safer way with that, but yeah. And that's also something that I have to start incorporating into my own craft, is I live on a lake, which means the environment and the landscape around it is kind of aqua life, basically. Which is new to me, because I'm solarly, my horoscope, or not horoscope, my zodiac is in Aries. So I'm fire. By nature, I'm fire. My sign is fire, and I love fire. So, but it's also very weird because when it comes to water, like, give me a bottle of water, give me a body of water that I can swim in, and just leave me there. And if I ever get my hands on waterproof headphones, I'll probably become a mermaid, or merman, or whatever you want to word it, because there's something so relaxing about swimming, to the point where, like, with me, when I go swimming, it feels like I'm flying, because I'm completely weightless and, like, free, but at the same time I know I'm not. It's also very therapeutical. Wow. Man, this live has been all over the place. But yeah, like, there are different things you can do with the full moon. If you just don't have the energy, because trust me, I know I'm not going to come on here and be like, no, you have to do this. If you don't have the energy, get a piece of paper and write down what you want to manifest in your life, or what you want banished from your life, and then set that shit ablaze under the full moon. So yeah, there are a lot of things that we can do, or people can do during the full moon, and I also have videos up already. I think I have 2 that specifically talk on my YouTube, that specifically talk about tips and things that you can do during the full moon. It's a perfect time to clean a house, or sage a house. By the way, some people will disagree with me with this, but I kind of do. If you sage your house, or if you cleanse your house, there needs to be a window and or door that is open. Because what you're doing, and the reason you're supposed to go from room to room to room, is because, and this may sound a little weird, but this is how I do it in my head. What is that? Spirited Away? For the people who have seen Spirited Away, you know the little soot balls? The, like, little soot things? It's also in one of his other movies. But, they're little soot balls. Okay, these black little fuzzy little balls, right? They're spirits, soot spirits. That's how I kind of picture negativity when I'm cleansing a house. I will actually picture, like, these little bitty balls of, like, little black energy, like, dusty, like, just, ugh. When you're burning sage, or whatever you're using to cleanse a room, or cleanse a property, that stuff kind of tends, the negativity, and even if you argue in a room, that leftover energy, that psychokinetic energy, builds up in your house. And they tend to basically, in your closets, in the corners, window seals, in the little corners of your doors, that's where it kind of tends to, like, go hide. And the reason I say you have to have a door open or a window open is because if you're filling your entire house with sage, telling all this negative energy to get the fuck out, but you don't open any windows or doors, it's just circling around in your house. Like straight up circling around in your house. Now, what you can do is what I've also done before, which is I will actually burn enough sage to where the entire house and every inch in it is full of smoke. Then I will open all of the windows. So, like, it's a full-on foof. And when you bless your property, like, the only thing that I will say, the one thing you have to have in your voice is you have to have confidence. That also goes with magic. And the reason that I'm saying that is because when you're protecting your house, when you're cleansing your house, you have to be very, very assertive and confident sounding when you're telling that energy to get the fuck out of your house. And yes, that is legit how I've talked actually on my personal profile. I've actually done a live where the entire live was me cleansing this house. And at first, now if I do this for a client, that's different. I won't necessarily go full on how I'm about to describe it, but my personal house or a friend's house, there are two ways that I do it. The first initial walkthrough, I'll cleanse it and see how it feels. And depending on the energy, of course, and depending on everything that's happened on the property, sometimes you can do one pass through and it cleans it. And then you have other properties that haven't been properly cleansed or anything like that, so it's got a lot. And normally my first initial sweep, like, I'll be, hey, so-and-so, get out, you're no longer welcomed here. And then if that doesn't happen, or if that doesn't work, that's when I get a little pissed off and I get a little aggressive. And that's when I start dropping F-bomb, like, get the F out, and all of this stuff. Like, I will straight up, because that's how, to me, though, that's also how I show my kind of, not dominant, but authority, which is, look, this is my house, this is my property, this is my family, you're not welcomed here, so get the fuck out. Like, go! Get out! And a lot of people, like, yes, confidence and consistency, and, like, even with your magic, when you do rituals and spells, you need to sound confident in what you're stating. If not, then I'm not going to say it's not going to work, because I've had plenty of moments where, like, I was doing spells and, like, I did not sound confident at all, but it still worked. So, like, but primarily, though, when you were cleansing your house, when you were directing a spirit or energy or something like that to get out, and for the people that's like, well, I don't want to, like, kick out any spirit in my house, you can word it differently. Like, I have stuff set up on this property to where if it's a negative spirit, then, it may not necessarily can get in, but I also have certain stuff set up here to where if it is just a normal spirit that's just kind of, just going on its own little thing and, like, it means no ill harm or anything like that, spirits are more than welcomed in my house, as long as they're not negative. And the reason I'm saying that is because there are some people that say that if you work with Fae, blessing your house can actually push them out too. So it's also all about your intentions. So, like, when you're doing it, when you're lighting your sage or whatever you're doing to burn, you need to make it clear, like, I'm using this to remove the negative energy, any negative energy. But at the same time, you'll have people come forward and you're like, well, some negative ions are good, which is true. On the ion part, that is true. That's basically what this does. Himalayan salt lamp. Basically, on top of it drawing moisture out of the air, it basically, all the technologies that we have, all the technology and lights and electricity, they give off negative ions, or positive ions. I think it's negative ions. And then the Himalayan salt lamp, when heated, it actually absorbs those negative ions. But contrary to popular belief, negative ions, just a little bit amount of negative ions is a good thing. So keep that in mind too. But when cleansing your house or cleansing your property, if you do have spirits there, you can specifically say, to the spirits that are here, that I know that are here, you don't have to go anywhere. And in my head, that kind of is like, you know, it kind of, I guess it directs the sage or whatever you're using to cleanse, it directs it more. Because, like, I love spirits. Like, I may not fully see them or fully know they're here, but I sense them sometimes. And, I mean, I kind of like the idea. Like, I want, like, an open spirit house. As in, if you're not a negative spirit and you're just kind of lonely, then fuck it. Come in here, hang out with me. I talk to myself and my cats enough, it'll damn sure be entertaining. I mean, why not, right? Like, if you were a spirit and you saw, you know, you came across somebody's house and you liked their energy and stuff and you wasn't going to do any harm, wouldn't you like to kind of just chill out there and be like, yo? So that's what this is. Now, of course, I'm still in, when it comes to that and, like, making sure the right spirits enter the house and everything, that's a 50-50, because I've had incidences here where what was going on was not a positive entity at all. But at the same time, it's no longer happening. Like I said, there's a bunch of weird shit that happens here. Some of it's paranormal. Others, it's animals. Sometimes it's a mixture of both. But, I mean, hey. And a lot of people will call me crazy or think I'm crazy. You know what? I am. I'm crazy as shit. But that just means that I see the world of how it truly is. Kind of. I lie to myself a lot. Because, like, true reality, this world is a really screwed up place. But there are people like y'all and people like me that make it better. We're the magic people. What? Sorry. I love how this live's going though. But very soon, actually here in the next 10 minutes, I will be cutting this short because until random tidbit of information about my life. Here lately, our dryer's been down, and we haven't been able to have time to actually fix the thermostat in it, so we have to fix it. So I've been hanging clothes up, which I personally love. I did it when I was a kid, and I don't know what it is, but for clothes, for one, it's true, clothes that are dry in a dryer, there's also that feel that just can't be replaced. But if you've never hung your clothes up in, like, mid of summer and let them dry naturally by the wind, you don't know what you're missing. I don't know what it is, but to me, it's so comforting. But that's great if you do that, except for when it's dead of winter. And the temperature today here where I'm at, due to the weather that's going on, it's actually, which is very weird because I haven't seen, well, actually I have seen this, but I wasn't expecting to see this yet. Today we're going to have a day to where it's actually supposed to get cooler as the day goes on. So, like, this morning, I think it was, like, 50, possibly 60 something. And literally just the few hours that I've been up, you can slowly feel that temperature dropping just a little bit. And so, yeah, I have a load of clothes that I've washed prior to this live. And I have to go mainly hang a jacket up. With that, by the way, people, this is a little tidbit. When you wash clothes, and this is also with cooking. This is technically, it's the little thing with, a kitchen witch. But when you wash clothes, or when you do housework chores, and for anybody who comes at me, no, I'm not trying to be sexist or anything like that, because you know what, straight up, when it comes to this household, I do everything that modern America would consider to be the female's job. Of course, we're breaking that, and of course, that's not it. And I love it. I love cooking. I love cleaning. Yeah, but I like doing all the house stuff. Anyways, when you're washing clothes, you can technically charge that water or charge those clothes in a way of basically saying when you're washing them, right? If your family was sick recently or something like that, you can ask the water, or the energy of the water, basically charge it in a way to, what are you doing when you're washing? You're cleaning something, right? You're taking away from something. So imagine in your head as you're washing in a certain color or something like that, but basically the water itself and the power of the water And if you have natural soap, that's awesome. If not, I'm pretty sure you could add like a drop of essence oil or just the pure herbs to it, just a little bit of them. Throw it in the washer, and as it's washing, it's banishing all that bad gunk or shit. If you go to a family's house for the holidays and you don't like their energy, come home, wash all your family's clothes, throw some sage in there, throw a little bit of throw a little bit of pepper in there. And just to, fade away and completely throw and banish in a way, basically, of that. And so you can do that with the washer. If it's really, really windy and you're having a weird day, walk outside in the wind and imagine the wind just blowing all of that gook, all of that nasty mojo off you. But here soon next year, I will start talking about more home magic, homestead magic, I guess it would be. I don't know. Of things that I've either came up with or I've discovered or I've heard about or I've incorporated into my life. For the people that sew, you can easily sew a rune, or for the people that do sew or crochet, or anything of that sort, every single time you twitch those together, you could theoretically, say a small chant, I stitch protection into you, or I stitch love into you. And literally, what are you doing? You are weaving those together. So, for the people that do arts and crafts like that, you can literally magically charge the crafts that you're making as you're making them. Especially sewing, crocheting, the other thing crocheting, sewing, and knitting. There we go. Knitting, crocheting, and sewing. You are weaving that stuff together. So technically, all you have to do is think positive thoughts of whoever you're creating it for. If you're creating something for a sick person, wellness, happiness, love, you are literally sewing them together. So, but yeah, oh shit, I almost cut this short without going over the card. I'm so sorry. Today's card is the werewolf. Exploring wildness. This is going to be interesting. And for anyone who does have this app for anyone who does have this deck, if you've lost your card, there's an app for it. Okay, so let's see. Luminous triggers it. A wild moon rises, painted blood and fangs, fury and howling and wolfing genius. After a painful, excruciating, bone-jarring struggle against the change, the man releases to the magic. Howling under restraint, under a full moon, now half-man, half-wolf rises up, snarling and goes looking for blood. Yes! We all know the power of the werewolf. After the end of the European witch trials, an intense interest in the werewolf developed in folklore tales and evolved to become the stuff of horror stories. See, it's perfect! Synchronicity. I say synchronicity because I said that and then you were actually creating something. So, synchronicity, because there's no way in hell I knew you were doing that. After the end of the European witch trials, it developed the folklore tales and evolved to become stuff of horror stories. Fairly coincidentally, or fairly constantly, since then, the Wolfman or Lycan has featured regularly in tales of both oral and written. Of course, during the last 100 years, there have been many hugely popular movies, including American Werewolf, the American Werewolf in London, and the theme books such as the recent Twilight Saga, Blood and Chocolate, which, that's technically werewolf, but not this definition of werewolf. The werewolf is a kind of a shapeshifter, but one that has traditionally had little control over his wildness. In a way, an inner battle between civilization and wild animal nature fights inside the one body. The variety, strength, and the freedom of the animal versus the reason, controlling and intent of the man, which one thought is the dominant force. Basically, which is the dominant force. With the healthy balance between our animal nature, one that is wild, free, and connected to nature, and our radically civilized humanness separated from our dominant over nature. The werewolf asks us to consider this balance and to delve into our own wildness, our own ideas and wildness of independence and courtiership of the planet. When is the last time you spent all day outside? When is the last time you threw your head back and howled at the moon? Do you quash the virality and curiosity of your body and mind by sitting in all day in front of a computer? The werewolf challenges you to weave a balance between nature and your own nature. And I just realized something. It's the full moon. And again, there's no way that I knew that was going to happen. I did know the card that was being pulled, of course, because we've been doing it alphabetically before I started the live, but I had not looked it up yet. So that's awesome. But yes, I am going to check though to make sure that I believe that this will be Oh, no, wait, I was wrong. We have 3 more cards. So we will actually, Monday will be the last day. Yeah, Monday will be the last day because today's Wednesday, so Thursday, Friday, yeah. Monday will be the last day, but I don't know how I like that because that's technically ending something on the beginning of the week. So Friday, I may actually just go ahead and finish it and do both right then and there. Yeah. I'll do that. Friday the 13th, more than likely, I will be doing both Oracle cards to go ahead and finish this deck out. And also, holy shit, y'all, we're about to have actually finished an entire Oracle deck. That we've been doing this since October. That's insane. That's awesome, too. But anyways, with that being stated, because I have other stuff to do, and this was an amazing live, and I wanted to personally say, again, thank you all so much for everybody who's tuned in, for the people that stayed from start to finish, for the people that's just popped in just to see what was going on, and for the people that's been giving me so much feedback. Thank you so much. Honestly, if it wasn't for y'all, I wouldn't be doing these, because it would just be a madman talking to his phone. But, yes, with that being stated, I hope y'all all gained something from this, learned something. If you did, like it, share it, tell a friend. And yeah, without further ado, I hope y'all all have a magical, magical Wednesday. I hope y'all have a good morning, noon, night, evening. I don't know your life, but I hope y'all have a magical day. Peace.